Xiaomi recently released a brand new gaming monitor, and this is the Xiaomi Mini LED Gaming Monitor G Pro 27i. It has a lot of big highlights in its spec sheet, like 180Hz refresh rate and 1440p resolution, and of course, as the name suggests, Mini LED. Now, having Mini LED means that the display is super bright, but there are a lot of things that we have to go through to fully understand the full potential of this monitor. So let's talk about the specs once more. Again, 27-inch monitor, 1440p resolution, 180Hz refresh rate, Mini LED backlighting, and an IPS LCD panel for color filtering. So what we did was to factory reset the monitor first before doing any tests. Using its default settings, the colorimeter reports that this monitor does indeed have very good color accuracy, covering 99.47% of sRGB and 96.93% of DCI-P3 color gamuts. And it also has very low delta E number too, so this panel is actually very good. The absolute maximum brightness with the local dimming zones turned off though, that means the entire screen is lit up as equally as possible. It yields around 700 nits of brightness in SDR mode and 720 nits in HDR mode. But then I realized there is one strange thing. When I turn on HDR mode but turn it off in the operating system side, then the maximum brightness is at around 780 nits. Remember, this is a pseudo HDR situation here. And now if we head into the OSD menu, we can turn on the dimming zones. This monitor has a whopping 1,152 local dimming zones as claimed on Xiaomi's website. Wow, that's a huge number, right? Yeah, there are 4 settings available in the OSD menu: low, medium, and high. This doesn't actually tell us anything, so we need to do further experimentation. So in SDR mode, when we turn on the low dimming zone, the overall brightness is cut down to around 605 nits, medium goes up to 615, and high goes to 620 nits. It's still way below the maximum brightness when we turn off the dimming zones. We can actually kind of explain why this happens. When we turn off the dimming zones, the entire screen is blasted with maximum power, making it supremely bright, hence achieving around 700 nits of brightness. But when we turn on the dimming zones, it will trim off the maximum brightness, making it artificially brighter to the eyes. Technically, that's what they're doing. This makes the not so bright areas of the image look extremely dull, but the areas that are supposedly to be showing more white color is much brighter than the other spots. The OSD menu practically lets us adjust how much of the max brightness to trim off, but the lower setting trim off the most brightness and vice versa. So the OSD menu is a bit weird. Since there are so many permutations of settings to achieve different brightness levels, here is a quick summary of all of the data that we've gathered. I actually don't know where to put this in the video, and this area seems like a good spot, so here you go. That aside, how does the 1,152 local dimming zones perform? Very bad actually. You see, local dimming zones means that the display can quote-unquote mimic how an OLED screen works. If an image is black, that area is black, then it should turn off the backlight entirely. In theory, the contrast ratio should be infinity, and that is why OLED panels look so good. Turning on an LED off and on again takes time, and OLED doesn't have this issue. However, this Xiaomi Mini LED Gaming Monitor G Pro 27i has extremely bad backlight response time. Just take a look at this dimming zone test. It's so bad that the shade just disappeared, and yeah, the backlight turning on and off time is just way horrible. And when we are navigating on Windows, the bright white cursor casts a bright halo around it as well. And we can actually move the mouse around and quote-unquote draw the local dimming zone grids. This shouldn't be possible if the monitor has 1,152 local dimming zones. Now, if we turn off the dimming zones entirely, then the display is actually just great. It's bright, the pixel response time is great as well. There is an option to change the pixel response time in the OSD menu, but I personally don't really realize any significant difference at all, so I just left it in the default settings eventually. I also played a lot of games using this monitor, and I honestly think that it just looks and feels great with these default settings. And I also played Zenithzone Zero at the maximum brightness while recording these footages. And that really made my eyes go tired really quickly because of the brightness. So for me, I will only use it like about 30% brightness. That's the sweet spot for me. Also, do remember to turn on the adaptive sync option so that you can mitigate screen tearing as well. It's technically free performance and it's just there for you. Now let's talk about the other parts of the monitor. It looks sleek, has kind of like a futuristic design to it. The monitor stand does remind me of Alienware monitors, as they too have this exact same monitor stand design with the oblong shape cutout at the neck for cables to pass through. The stand has height adjustment, tilting, swivel, and also pivot as well. The two legs are open at a wide angle, and that allows for more space for the keyboard. Overall, this stand is actually very good. If you do want to swap it out though, you can, because this monitor does have a 100 by 100 VESA mount at the back as well. As for the ports, it's very basic. We have all of these ports as shown on the screen here. You will have to use the DisplayPort to get 180Hz, so keep that in mind. Having a 3.5mm audio jack means that we can plug in our consoles like PS5 or Nintendo Switch and get audio through the monitor as well. Now, in the box, there is this piece of plastic that is used to cover the area around the ports. And I just find this to be unnecessary because it's at the back and I can't see it anyway, so that's why I never even bothered opening this piece. And finally, for the price. Originally, it is at 1,899 ringgit, but there is a promotion going on right now for only 1,599 ringgit. And yet, I still think that the value for this monitor is not that good. You see, there are monitors that we have reviewed that is around the same price but offers full-fledged built-in KVM with 90 watts of USB PD charging and also some USB ports. I'll leave a link to the review of that monitor down in the description alongside another video where we talk about the wonders of KVM and why you need it as well. So yeah, that's all that we have to share with you in this video about this monitor. Overall, if you can get it for like 1,200 ringgit Malaysia, somewhere around there, then it should be okay. Again, do not buy this monitor if you want to use it in HDR mode with all of the local dimming zones and whatnot, because the performance of those things just not that good.